Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've always found the planet of Exegol to be super intriguing. I think it could serve many purposes in the Star Wars lore, simply beyond the place of Palpatine's rebirth, but also because it could tell a deeper story of the Sith. If you remember correctly, when looking back at the Rise of Skywalker, we get some interesting shots of the temple in Exegol. As Kylo explores the temple, the first thing that stands out are massive statues of Force users, probably Sith. When looking at these statues, one must wonder, who are these people? What purpose do they have? Why were they dedicated to like this? And what time period are they from? But in this lies an even larger question that has to be addressed first. How old is the Sith temple in Exegol? And is it even a temple to begin with? So as mentioned, the first place we can look for clues on the age of the temple is by examining the statues. Now the statues do seem pretty vague as they're generally robed and hooded figures. With that being said, these figures don't necessarily have to be Sith. Throughout galactic history, power changed hands numerous times between the Sith and Jedi. A good example of this is the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, which was actually originally built over a Sith structure and the location was taken over. So since these statues don't offer much clues, we have to dive a little bit deeper and take a look at statues in Palpatine's apartment, which we see during the prequels. The reason I chose to look here is because perhaps these same statues are similar to the ones in Exegol. It would make some sense because, according to what I found in the lore available to me, the statues are not identifiable down to names as the statues are in Exegol, but they still hold great importance to Palpatine. According to the official Star Wars fact file issue number 32, the statues and objects that are seen in Palpatine's apartment do hold sentimental value to him. Per the publication, it says that Palpatine would even enter into deep meditative states when interacting with the statues and objects. Since these statues are unknown to the many who visit his apartment, including the many Jedi who have passed through, I think it's safe to say that these people are from an ancient time where records were perhaps not best kept, or a time when there were so many Sith that some simply remained hidden in the annals of history. Now this timeline can truly range from hundreds to thousands of years. The other aspect where we could determine the age and purpose of the temple can be derived from Legends content, dating back 36,000 years before the Battle of Yavin in the Star Wars timeline. I first learned about what's called the THO YOR after reading Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, which follows the journey of Jedi Lenore Brock on her quest to seek out her lost brother. In this, Lenore recounts her childhood, specifically when she trained as a youngling, facing the trials and visiting the many different temples, also known as the THO YOR. My curiosity deepened and I discovered that the THO YOR temples served different training purposes, but before that, also served as vessels that sought out Force users from different planets and brought all of them to Tython to have all Force users congregate, live, and train on the Force-intense planet together. Even more interesting to note, this was before the time of good and evil in the Force. Things were sort of gray, everyone was blended together, and the dark and the light were both used in generally acceptable manners. Now according to the Dawn of the Jedi comic series, there were about 9 THO YOR that were present on Tython. However, in my theory, I question this piece of information and I challenge it with the idea that there was a 10th THO YOR, and that the 10th THO YOR was the THO YOR of Darkness, which would find its way to Exegol. Now this is very theory-heavy leaning, however I think we can see that besides the structures being old, it decided to settle on a world that has themes very consistent with the dark side. Exegol's lighting, its clouds, mist, and fog clouding its surroundings, but also importantly, the fact that the light and the dark exist in the universe. Even though the darkness would find its way on Tython with the 9 THO YOR there, it's safe to assume that there was a dark THO YOR, unbeknownst to everyone, given the theme of Star Wars light and dark. This was the Dark Training Temple. Another piece of mild evidence we can look at is sort of the shape of the THO YOR. This might be a bit of a stretch, but George Lucas did draw a lot from different religions as he himself studied theology quite heavily as a younger person. When looking at the THO YOR's illustrations, we see the designs of the structure, and when this design is flipped upside down, we see a structure very similar to the one on Exegol. I cite religion here because in many different belief systems, objects that are flipped, sort of like a flipped crucifix, are usually signs of evil or darkness being present. With the temple on Exegol being inverted like so, there might be even more reason to believe that this is not only hinting at modern day theology, but also alluding to the fact that this temple, inverted, is simply a place of darkness. The darkness of Exegol and the possible THO YOR is heavily identified in the Star Wars novel Shadow of the Sith, and this is the strongest piece of evidence we have for the THO YOR case. In the excerpt, Luke is at the Seeing Stone on Tython when he's transported to Exegol, where he fights 9 dark side apparitions. The greater identifying evidence here is the fact that Luke actually transports to Exegol through the Seeing Stone at Tython, point A to point B. The parallel is so clear that the ancient planet where all the THO YOR landed, has a forced pathway directly to Exegol and to Tython. And lastly, the very basic evidence would be the Sith Acolytes. The fact that there are thousands of Sith Acolytes there can also hint to the fact that the Exegol Temple actually still served as a training THO YOR. And simply the fact that an immortal Palpatine found a way to come back to life and found ways to live forever in this very dark place. A place that is an old Sith THO YOR, where many dark lessons were taught to him, and that he perhaps learned from recommuning with old Sith, like the one in the statues, or even like his old master, Darth Plagueis. So guys, what do you think about the temple in Exegol, and do you think that there's a likelihood that it's actually a THO YOR? Do you think it'll be revealed to us as such in the future? Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And guys, thank you for your continued viewership and support in this channel. It means a lot to me. And just a reminder again, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And remember, the Force will be with you always.